Okay, so just run through an answer or two, so we've kind of work out where we're going. I won't do all of them, but we'll put some answers up at some point. Talking of which, I have put the answers up for the exercises from the last session. They are on the OneNote there. If you haven't got access to it and you want them, then do let me know. Um, so Anna Blepperman, it's the verb to look up, okay, which you can see just on the side of it, and it's the first person plural. So we are looking up. So we're looking up or we're receiving sight or something like that. We are looking up. And then we've got iced on or anon, which is preposition ice into, and then oranon is heaven. So we're looking up into heaven. Would be fine enough. Okay. And then so number two, if you want number two as well. So the man to the boss, the man. So we work out, is the man setting free or maybe divorcing? Is divorcing the sister of Peter. Okay, so to give you some idea what's going on. So really, it's just once you know these verbs, they're just another collection of words that you learn, and then they all work in exactly the same way as the other verbs that we've met so far in terms of their endings with this particular tense. We are still just working in a one tense where everything is just a present tense. That's fine. Okay. I will do the rest of those another time if you're okay with that. If you think there's anything that is amiss or wrong with the words, please let me know because it's easy to make mistakes on that. So we'll move and have a look at questions. Okay, it's not a big part really, but just to get ourselves understood on that. We'll go back to the English. So we're, I'm sure, very familiar with how questions work in our language. We have some standard question starters. We know that we're asking a question if we start with how, something, what, when, where, why. And they're fairly straightforward. So there'll be a Greek word that we will learn for those words. We're not going to do all of them tonight. We're just going to look at two of them. But that's a fairly standard part for our question. Of course, we end when we're writing something down with a question mark. Quite often when we ask a question, then the tone of our voice indicates that we're asking a question. So if we look at a question like, are you learning Greek? We ask it in such a way, first of all, we switch the R and the U around. So that part of the verb gets switched around. So in English, we'll say, are you learning Greek? And then we might use the tone with a question mark, obviously, if we're writing it down. If you didn't ask it as a question, you say make it as a statement. So you are learning Greek. Now that's fine in English because word order matters. With our language, it's important. You put the words in the right order and the sentence makes sense. In Greek, we've already discussed and decided that because that the endings tell you about the position of the word order isn't important in Greek. So therefore, the Greek sentence would look the same for are you learning Greek to you are learning Greek because that little bit is not going to be any different. So um, we have a question mark. They use what we know as a semicolon. Okay. So let's have a little look at the questions. It's pretty simple stuff in some ways. So there are two words which this particular chapter looks at. We'll pick up some other questions another time. So how something is happening. Um, so here we just use pos, which is our word for how here. And then we would write the sentence as we would. We'd know we were asking a question because we're using the word how. So how are you making the boat is what we've got here. So this is from Poyo and Poyes. So you, it's the second person singular. So how are you making the boat? And then we have the question mark at the end. So in Greek, we'll use a semicolon. All right. So you just need to pay attention to the fact that that is different to our semicolon. That means a question. All right. Say a question mark. So you will obviously see that poies, if we just had poies in a sentence, and we'd written it as poies to ploion, if we just written that, then that's you are making the boat. So we can add in the question mark, and it would change it, as we'll come to in just a moment. So if I add that, that changes it to are you making the boat from you are making the boat. Okay, so it goes from statement to question, and that's what we do. So we've got the second one, where, which is pou. So this is our little Greek word for where. So here we've got terusin. So it's a third person plural. So where are they? And then tero is to keep. Where are they keeping? And then to teknon, which is the child. So where are they keeping the child? And that's how we would translate that. And of course, if we just use the punctuation, so if we just use the question mark at the end, the question mark at the end, which will be obviously the semicolon. So if we just wrote, because we don't have to have one of those starting question words, so pistu ete toi theoi, and so just a good chance to remember that the word to believe follows with the dative. All right, so remember there are a couple of verbs that have a different case at the end. So this one here, which is a second person plural. So, and because of this here, question mark, so we're going to say, are you believing in God? Or do you believe in God? Right. So if we might not like that necessarily in terms of its literal translation, might change it to do you believe in God? And so that's how we work with questions. Okay, so we're going to put a semicolon on the end from how we understand it. All right, that's their question mark. We might use either of these two words for now. So pos and pou, which is how and where. All right, and notice the order. Greek, the words order in Greek don't matter, so we just need to pay attention to the end of the sentence, see if it's got a question mark. Okay, so a couple of minutes, if there are no questions on that, to have a little go at another exercise which I've put together for you, which are questions. So they're all questions, so they will end in the right way. So do you want to have a little go at translating some of those? And we'll pick up one or two of those in a moment, and I'll leave us with about 10 minutes to do the negatives. Okay, I'll stop translating now, and you can have a little go at one or two of those.